We recently took a trip to Prague, Czechia to see the city and to enjoy the Christmas markets. We only had one night and one full day to see as much as we possibly could. So I'm going to show you where we stayed, how we got to the places that we went to visit, the tour we took, the food we ate. So come along. We arrived in Prague about 7:30 p.m., so we immediately dropped our bags and went on search for the first Christmas market. We stayed at the HIlton Old Town Prague, very walkable to everything. I'll show you more about that in the daytime. We headed straight for the Christmas markets nearby. The closest one is at Náměstí Republiky, or Republic Square. Fortunately, at 8 p.m. on a Monday, the markets were not crowded at all. The first stand we saw was for all the hot beverages. They serve glühwein, which is hot mulled wine, but they also have hot non-alcoholic punch. The food was calling my name. There's one thing you have to be aware of. The prices are generally listed as a price per 100 grams, but the serving sizes are sometimes larger than 100 grams unless you specify exactly how much you want. So let's check out some of these prices. Grilled vegetables or grilled mushrooms were 75 crowns per 100 grams. Potatoes with onion were 69. The chicken or pork steaks were 99 Czech crowns, and a chicken skewer was 195 Czech crowns. The sausages were a fixed price at 150 Czech crowns, but the bun was an extra 10 crowns. I was so hungry I started eating before I remembered to take a picture, so please excuse the half-eaten food. My husband and I purchased a hot dog, a bun, potatoes with onions, a chicken leg, a Coke, and a cup of hot punch. Credit cards were accepted. This cost us 690 Czech crowns, which in US dollars came to $29.10. I use a Chase Sapphire Reserve credit card, and I have the notifications set up so that I get an automatic text and email when I make a purchase. And this was invaluable to keep me kind of in line with my budget and know exactly what I really spent everywhere I went. We got a Tredelnik for dessert. Tredelnik is also called a chimney cake, and it is strips of dough wrapped around a cylinder and baked over hot coals. Usually it is sprinkled with sugar and cinnamon and served hot. This Prague market sold their hot drinks in paper cups, so we did not have to be concerned about a mug deposit like you do in many other European markets. Although the takeaway cup is 10 crowns, or about 40 cents. And if you want a paper bag for takeaway food, be prepared to pay about 60 US cents for the paper bag. So in effect, you're paying $1 for the paper cup and paper bag that you're about to turn around and throw away. They did offer a plastic cup for 50 crowns that could be returned for a refund. Here's one drink booth, and beside it is a booth selling glass figures, and then another drink booth. And after it is a table for returning those plastic cups to get your deposit returned. A third drink stand. Do you get the general recurring theme here? There is a pretty nativity scene and a festive tree in the center of this square. And the Náměstí Republiky Square is home to the Palladium, a shopping mall with over 200 shops and restaurants. There are several tables set up outside at the market for people to use while enjoying their food and beverages under the cover from the elements. Across the way is another food stand offering much the same as the first one we saw, but beside it has some different food. There's some kind of cheesy noodle with cabbage and potatoes with ham. These are also sold by weight. After this first quick stint in the market, it was time to go back to our hotel and crash. Jet lag was really taking effect, and we had an early morning start for the next day. Let me show you a little bit about the convenience of where we're staying. We chose the HIlton Old Town Prague. If you're coming in by train, here is the train station and a convenient coffee shop. And our hotel is just around this corner. An equally convenient hotel would also be the Marriott that's across the street from the HIlton. On Google Maps, you can see our hotel, the train station, and the market at Náměstí Republiky that we visited last night. Let's go for a walk so I can show you around the area, starting at the corner of the street in front of our hotel. We see that there's a space for pickup and drop-off for motor coaches, shuttles, and taxis, and while staying here, I noticed that Viking and Amma Waterways use this hotel for their pre- and post-river cruise extensions. There is parking available. Across the street is Billa, which is a supermarket chain we found in several of the cities we visited while on this trip. And next to it is a flying deer, which marks the alleyway for a wonderful restaurant we visited. This restaurant specialized in game food. I'll review it a little more at the end of the video. The sidewalks are made of pavers, but they are in good repair and flat. Originally, I was concerned about the possibility of uneven pavers, which could be a trip hazard. Roller bags make a lot of racket when pulled along, but I had no difficulty walking on this surface. You can duck behind the columns here at this bank, and there is a roof for a little protection from the weather. Across the street is the portion of the Republic Market that was closed last night. It's pretty early in the morning while I'm filming, so there's still not too much open. I'll leave this market and continue on our walk back beneath the columned walkway here at the bank. And as you exit from the area, there's a road sign indicating the directions for some of the sites. Once you cross the street, being especially careful to watch for buses and trams, it brings you to Republic Square that we visited last night. But instead of going into that market again, we're going to make a left here. I pass bus stop 1, which is handy if you're doing a hop-on, hop-off tour. Other tours use this location as a meeting point as well. Our next point of reference is the Powder Tower. Switching to our street map, you can see we have traveled along this route so far. From the hotel, up to Republic Square, and to the Powder Tower. Right now, the Powder Tower is getting a facelift. I hated not to be able to take a great photo of this iconic Prague landmark, but I'm glad that the city takes care of her historic landmarks. We are headed to Old Town, so I walk to the right of the Powder Tower, cross the street, and veer just a little left to get around this building and straight ahead. The sidewalk actually ends, and the walkway is made noticeable by the different colored pavers. This looks like it's a pedestrian street, but don't be fooled. The cars and delivery trucks use this street, and I saw many tourists thinking it was a pedestrian street and oblivious to vehicles traveling on their heels. There are definitely some interesting businesses along the way. The Gallery of Steel Figures, the Museum of Torture, and Madam Tussauds, just to name a few. But finally you spill out into Old Town Square. Since it's very early in the morning while I'm filming, there's not much going on yet, but this place is crowded later in the day. Right now we can see the manger scene and the tree, and some of the decorations without the massive crowds. Later in the day, the crowds will line up to climb the steps to this overlook. And why not? If you can get a picture of the archway with the tree or just a selfie without crowds, you have scored big. I will turn around and show you your point of reference for when you're ready to go back to the hotel. You will walk to the right of Moser and then to the right of Swarovski. Head straight till you get to the Powder Tower. Cross the street and turn left, but be sure to look at the gorgeous municipal house on your way back. You'll see Republic Square and turn right looking for those columns and head back toward the Hilton. We were ready for our only full day in Prague, so we had planned to make the most of it. We booked a private tour with Lucy Tours for our group of 8. We chose the driving option, which included some driving and some walking. Our first stop was for the Prague Castle. It is snowing, and I'm quite glad to have my waterproof coat, shoes, and umbrella. From the top of the hill, we could see a cloudy view of the city. Our driver dropped us off at this large square near the entrance to the castle, where we saw the plague statue of the Holy Trinity and a statue of the first president of Czechoslovakia. The castle's first courtyard is surrounded by a gate and guarded by several ominous sculptures. The castle complex is huge, and our guide shows us the map so that we can get our bearings. Taking a photo of the map is a good idea if you're taking some time to explore on your own. Cole's Fountain is in the main courtyard, and as we walk through the archway, we come face to face with the incredible St. Vitus Cathedral. This walking tour does not include seeing the inside, but the exterior is breathtaking. Watch out, the gargoyles are spitting water down below on unsuspecting visitors. We also see the St. George Basilica and the Christmas tree that adorns this area. We go back through one of the archways and exit the castle complex and take the walkway which would have been over a moat in the old days. Looking back, I now see this imposing castle surrounding the cathedral. Impressive even on this cloudy day. Our next stop is Old Town Square. I gave you a quick glimpse of this square when I showed you how to get there from the hotel, but now I'll show you a little more. Our guide takes us to the main attraction, the Astronomical Clock, which is attached to City Hall. Crowds gather here near the top of the hour to watch the clock. It was originally installed in 1410 and has had some improvements along the way. In the 1600s, they added these wooden statues. In the 1700s, they added the 12 apostles that rotate around and appear at the windows every hour. In the 1800s, they added the golden rooster, who crows after the clock finishes chiming for the hour. The City Hall was destroyed in World War II, but the clock was restored and new wooden figures were rebuilt. The original statues and sculptures are in a museum. The current ones are replicas. Our official tour ended here and it was time for some lunch, so we took a little time to walk around the Christmas market and decide what we would eat. I decided on Langos. Bread dough is rolled out flat like pizza dough and then deep fried. The version I ordered is buttered and then sprinkled with some cheese, which melts on that hot bread. Then they cover that with ketchup and mayonnaise. I asked them to leave the mayo off mine. I wish I'd asked them to leave the ketchup off too. Hubby got a savory-filled dumpling. Be careful, they're very hot on the inside. For dessert, the choice was really hard. Hubby got a crepe. Multiple choices of toppings were available, but he picked chocolate and coconut. They make the crepes in front of us and then fold them over and over so that they fit on a long, skinny cardboard tray. I went for the waffles on a stick. So many flavors to choose from, but I chose the dark chocolate marshmallow. These 4 items came to about $28 US. And credit cards were accepted by all these vendors in Old Town as well. In advance, we purchased entrance tickets to City Hall online through Get Your Guide so that we could go to the top of the tower and see the views. Our entrance ticket allowed access to the tower, and we paid about $3 extra each to take the elevator to the top. And just a hint, if you're taking the elevator, it's actually 2 elevators. One will take you up a couple of floors, and then you find another one that's much smaller and takes you the rest of the way up. The skies had cleared and it turned out to be a great decision to go when we did. We could see all the market in the Old Town Square and the lights were beginning to show up nicely. We could walk all the way around the tower to see the views from every direction. Our entrance ticket did not include the museum within City Hall, but we did get to see a little bit of the architecture and some of the artwork in the part of the City Hall on the way to the tower. Gorgeous, absolutely stunning. After the tower, we headed off to find Charles Bridge. It was only about a 5-minute walk from Old Town Square to reach Charles Bridge. I put the destination in Google Maps, but I think I could have just followed the crowds. There's a beautiful tower on each side of the bridge. Here's a view of the bridge from the side. Sculptures line both sides of the bridge all the way across, so a person can really spend some time strolling across and studying the sculptures, or stopping to pause for photos along the way. Vendors are along the bridge selling their wares, not so much today with the drizzle, and there are some performers hoping for tips. Let me take a quick moment here to say that if you have found anything interesting or helpful, it would help me so much if you would push that like button and like this video, or even leaving a comment below. Both of those things really help my channel. It helps YouTube to see me and recognize that my videos are helpful. And if you really want to be helpful, you can subscribe to my channel. All of those things help me out with YouTube. I really appreciate it. After the Charles Bridge, we went back to our hotel and the concierge helped us to make reservations for Cerveny, Jelen. I'm sure I butchered the pronunciation of that. Fortunately, we wanted an early dinner because they could seat us at 6 p.m. if we promised to vacate the table before 8 p.m. as they had another reservation for then. That worked for us. The restaurant was located down this corridor under the Flying Deer, which is their logo, specializing in beef, including Japanese Wagyu beef and wild game. This restaurant is perfect for the carnivore, although they did have a few vegetarian dishes on the menu. I tried the braised deer leg. It was served in a sauce with potato dumplings and cranberries and elderberries. We hunt deer in my neck of the woods, and sometimes it's prepared in chili or maybe a deer steak, but never have I tasted anything as tender as this deer steak. After dinner, we wanted to find the Wenceslas market, and I have a complete video about that market. I'll show you all around the ice skating venue there, the gift stalls, the food stalls, and the prices to include, so look for that video next. This is Shirley with Shirley's Journeys, and I hope all of your journeys are pleasant ones.